So my name's Nitin, I work for Your Meds. I'm CEO and founder. Let's start with a couple of very, very simple points of information before we move to a joke. Did you know the NHS spends 10% of its entire budget on medicines? We'd expect a big number, but 10% of a very big number is a very big number. It's about 17 to 20 billion pounds a year. Just to give you a bit of context. And you'd think that in the modern environment with these fantastic presentations on the way we use technology to cure cancer, find new therapies, genomics, mental health, and so on, we'd be able to work out whether people could actually take their meds. Simple things in life. Unfortunately, not yet. Moving to a little story for a second. When I first looked at the problem of medication adherence, and I'll come on to why I did it, it reminded me of a story by a man called Charles Swindoll. Now, you may have heard this in a different form, and I always have to read this because I always get the words the wrong way around. I'm not dyslexic, but I do get them the wrong way around. So I'm adapting Charles Swindoll's story for why people don't take their medicines. Making sure people took their medicine was an important job. And everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did. Somebody got angry because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Okay? And that, to me, encapsulates the problem of medication adherence. The problem, by the way, is as old as when the first doctor was invented. Okay? So Your Meds decided to become that somebody. Because my mother, funnily enough, not the lady pictured here, needed somebody's help, and we became that somebody. My mum was in her early 80s at the time, living with multiple comorbidities, as you'd expect, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, or early onset dementia. I'm 270 miles away in the UK, that's a one-way trip, virtually impossible to see whether she's taking her meds. And I'm sure many of you will have loved ones who are on meds, need to take meds, need to be supported. And supporting them is very difficult unless you have some technology around. So we created Your Meds, a product that an elderly lady in her 80s could use. So it had to be very simple at the point of use, but laden with complexity the further away from the user you went. And I'm proud to say that Your Meds was invented here in the UK, is made in the UK, and luckily sold in the UK. I don't know if you recall that I said the NHS spent 10% of its annual budget on medicines. Well, that's £11 billion just in community pharmacy, excluding the hospitals. And according to the NHS, the WHO, and anyone else you care to talk to, fewer than 1 in 2 people take their meds correctly. And that number drops to below 30% if you have a long-term condition. So that's diabetes and so on. Just imagine how much money and human well-being is being lost. So we decided to try to understand why people don't take their medication and then do something about it. And going through the academic literature and our own work, we realized there are 3 key circles. The first is the circle of care. Create the people around someone to support them. The second is behavioral analysis. And we spend a lot of time understanding behavioral psychology. And the third point is real-time monitoring. That's the mechanical end. That's what we built as a product. So the behavior analysis, by the way, comes from, we've licensed it from a company in the States. It's called the MMAS, the Mirsky scale. It's quite widely used, over 1 million people have gone through it. And they've allowed us to use it in our work. So we're very glad about that. The central intersection of those 3 points is adherence. And that's why it's so hard to hit. This is a brief outline of our technology. I'm not going to labor you to great detail, but the point is it's simple to use. It's like playing bingo, is how people have described it to me. So if you look on the device on the left, you'll see a small number, it says an 8. When the number comes up, an alarm goes off, take the number. It's really not that hard. We condition people to do the right thing at the right time. People are then supported through apps, App Store, Google Play, I'll get them around there. So the circle of care knows what's been taken and when. There's no patient data, it's perfectly safe. For those who are more able and don't need a pharmacy to do the medication, we've just launched a new solution called PillPal. Just launched it in India a few days ago. We've had the first 3,000 people register. We're launching it soon in the UK. And the beauty of that system is that it's all in local language. So we are very keen on digital inclusion, and so we want to make sure that those in the UK whose English is not their first language is able to use it. Bridgend. So we were very, very lucky and honoured in 2023 when we were first asked to work with Clwmtaf Health Board in Bridgend. In 2024, SBRI funded a much larger project supported by Life Science Hub Wales and the Welsh Government. And this had basically some very simple objectives. Embed a digital solution into the care pathway. Check the digital solution works. 3, calculate the benefits. Really simple. What did the project do? I apologise, I tried to put a lot onto one slide. But anyway. First thing is, number of hospital admissions are down between 54 and 65%. I was just talking at lunch to a gentleman who's an emergency doctor at Merthyr Tydfil Hospital, and he said, funny enough, last night somebody was admitted, epilepsy, didn't take their meds. There you go. Length of stay in hospital, down 45%. So it's very clear that just making people take their medication on time correctly has a huge impact on the health system and their own lives. Talking of their own lives, it's these two charts, the coloured ones, that I'm most proud of actually. The one on the left is PROMS data, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, patient reported outcomes data, for all patients. And it's hard to see from the back, but the far left column is activity. How active were they before your meds and after? The second from the left is anxiety. The middle one is mobility. The next one is pain and discomfort. And finally, self-care. In every single instance, just taking your meds on time improved people's lives. And the one on the right, which I think is extremely interesting, is for people who do not have cognitive impairment. The improvement in self-care is so great that it allows the health system to operate much better. So we're very glad that Bridgend were very, very helpful in making that project happen. And the Welsh Government will be releasing the report either next week or the week after. So it's there for the public to see. In terms of what we actually achieved in Bridgend, we achieved an 86% adherence rate. So that's well above the 80% that you need. And it looks like the long-term benefits of the project will continue to accrue to Bridgend. The cash return on investment was 2.5 times, but that's going to go a lot higher as you get the self-care improvement. So in summary, this is about Wales. We're very proud of the work we did in Wales. So in Bridgend, we've embedded your meds into a health system. It's the first time a medtech product is embedded this way. It reduced hospital admissions, it reduced bed days, improved health outcomes. And that's what I think is the power of trying to use technology in a broader care setting. Thank you.